will be discussing today?
Well, we're discussing Devachan
Yeah.
and Avitchi. I'll begin with the process of the after-death states, what we go through after death, of which Devachan is a part. Avitchi is something else. It's when you're not up for Devachan, you don't qualify for it.
So your second death is a Christian affair, is it?
No, I've just done that as a symbol to represent the second death. But I take your point. Yes, I've just done that as a marker, as a gravestone, actually.
Right, yes, okay.
But yes, some gravestones look like that. It's no, you don't have to be Christian to die. I'm not sure about that. I think being a theosophist helps when you die, because having studied the after-death states, it makes it easier to go through, easy to let go of earthly attachment. I think Buddhists also have that they talk about letting go of earthly attachments, and it makes the process after death of leaving behind earthly life and the earthly personality and attachments much easier. So you're ready for it, because you're not coming back, not to your original life anyway. So anyway, we are. We begin at the point of death, and that's when the non-physical parts of man, and that's basically everything except the physical body here, separate from the physical body. Now, that's said to be attached by a silver cord. The non-physical parts rise out of the physical body and are said to be attached by a silver cord. Sometimes you get back in again in case you've had a near-death experience. However, once the silver cord breaks, that's it. You're not going back, and the body is, for all intents and purposes, dead.
And you die in your bed.
Sorry?
I see you've got it neatly dying in its bed.
Dying in bed. Well,
yeah. I mean, you could have had a lovely thing there, you know, somebody getting stabbed to death, or
run under by a steamroller going flat out. Yes.
Yeah,
falling off Blackpool Tower.
Character to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Next time I do one of these, I'll do
an
real imaginative death. Sort of.
You do a
different rules apply then, don't they?
Car crashes.
Falling out the tree into a wood chipper.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. There is a slight difference if you have an accidental death with the process, because you can be held up, or you commit suicide.
Yeah, you jump out of the Blackpool Tower.
If you jumped off Blackpool Tower of your own accord and you weren't pushed,
you weren't pushed, yeah.
That would be classed as a suicide.
No, they had a push to it.
Now, if you're pushed, then it's but still, you still would be delayed, because there would be a gap between you entering the after-death processes. But let's say you die.
But that might be your time.
That's right, it might be.
Yeah.
So, what's the crack with suicide then?
Suicide, less so with accidental deaths, but with suicide, Theosophy maintains that you actually go into a state of suspension for the duration of what would have been your normal lifespan.
You're treating the system.
Yeah, that's right. You can't shortcut the system by committing suicide. You have to wait until basically your time's come. Accidental deaths, there's a bit of a grey area there as to whether the extent to which you're held up. But that's for another talk.
Death by negligence.
Death by negligence, yes. Smoking too much, getting drunk and walking in front of a bus.
That's kind of suicide, isn't it?
What?
But you, Dave, you know all the ways.
That's it.
These were a few funerals.
Go on, Edith, you were saying something. What?
Sorry, that would be kind of suicide as well, smoking yourself to death,
yes, that's
drinking
neglect,
yourself.
giving up. Well, they say St James did that he gave up.
Yeah.
And just smoked himself and drank himself to death. I've heard the same said about Dylan Thomas as well, that he somehow died of deliberate self-neglect.
He was one for it only. Well, his most famous line, "Someone's bothering me, I think it's me." He hates himself.
Yes. Okay, well,
Anyway.
Okay, the non-physical parts of man break free of the physical. Now, you progress then through what's known as karma loka, or the spirit realm. Now, during this process, I said there are 7 phases of karma loka. It's becoming progressively finer, less dense. And during that period, your earthly personality dissolves. You lose the karma, the desire principle, and the lower manners. Well, I should have mentioned that the life energy. The life energy becomes a shell. The body of prana becomes a shell that encases the other non-physical parts of man. Although technically the etheric shell is a very fine physical form of matter, and the non-physical parts have to break free. If you don't break free, that's really the state of limbo. You're dead, but you can't move on. But you normally break free. Sometimes people resist the idea that they're dead, and they don't break free. It takes some time to move on. Now, as you go through karma loka,
could you go into a bit more detail on what you mean by breaking free? Is it
right?
like
Oh
a
yes,
hand,
yeah, right. What it is, your body of energy becomes a shell. You're surrounded by the body of prana, or the etheric body. Now, Theosophy postulates that etheric matter is physical, but so fine that science hasn't recognised it yet. Now, on physical death, the etheric body leaves the physical along with all the other, all the non-physical parts of man, and forms a shell in which the rest of you, other than your physical body, is encased. Now, in the hours after death, you then break out of it and move on. Now, the problems arise if you don't break out of it, like you don't accept you're dead, or you keep trying to get back into the physical body, because there's a tendency that the etheric body wants to stay close to it. But you just do it. I don't. You just do. I think it's like waking up from a dream when you realise that you're asleep. And you realise you're dreaming and you're asleep, and you decide you want to wake up, and somehow you get yourself out of the dream and awake. I think it's like that. Has anyone ever done that?
Well, not after death. No.
No, but I mean,
Yeah. Do you think it's the mind which can't accept it and resist because it perfectly likes to be on this earth life? So
Yeah.
it must be the mind which then recognise that I am dead and I must move on.
that's right. You
And
have
then
to
you
recognise.
break.
If you don't recognise it,
Yeah.
there's a tendency to want to get back into the physical body, or to remain close to it, which is why Hindu funerals are it's cremation 6 o'clock the following morning, or dawn the following morning.
Yeah.
And that's so that the non-physical parts of man have nothing to hold on to, nothing to hover over, and they can get on their way.
I often thought they burn them simply because it is so hot in India at
No, a
times,
lot of people
and
do
it would
think that,
just
yes.
rot away. But it may not be the case.
Well, no, my mother always told me this, that
Yeah.
the reason they do it in India the following morning is because it's a hot country.
Hot, yeah.
That may be part, actually, yeah, it makes sense. That's probably part of it.
That's probably the two might be.
Yeah, the esoteric reason is to destroy the physical body so that the non-physical parts of man can get on their way. And another advantage is that you don't get probably vampires getting into your body. So you don't have no trouble with vampires.
Drop out in India.
Yes, that's right.
But here in the West, if we are burned, we're sort of burned, I suppose, more than 3 days after. In which case, it could be a wee bit painful, still having the mind.
No, because that's been burnt. It's that everything's moved on. You've separated from the physical body.
No, I mean that before you're actually burned, but it happens quite quickly in India. But here, you may be lying in waiting somewhere
sometimes a month.
Pardon?
Sometimes it takes a month to
Exactly.
the funeral.
And you'd be cold because you're in the freezer.
That's right.
My mother was put in the freezer because nobody could actually. They were also waiting for me to come home for the funeral. You're laughing.
You're cruel.
Pardon?
You're cruel.
No, she enjoyed it.
Okay, moving on. Okay, you progress through Karma Loka and you lose your earthly attachments.
You
and
change shape.
you change shape, yes. And at the end of that period, you experience the second death. There's a bit of confusion in Theosophical writings. Some writers refer to the second death as what happens at the end of Devachan, and some refer to the second Devachan as the second death itself. But at the end of the Karmalokic period, you retain an essence of the life that you've lived and the higher mind principle, higher manners, and that becomes what's known as the reincarnating ego. And you go into Devachan, which is a state of bliss in which all your spiritual aspirations are realised. It's the closest thing Theosophy has to heaven. Now, in it, you will experience state of bliss and work through your spiritual aspirations. You will have members of your family surrounding you in Devachan, not in reality. This is a point that's been made by a number of people. It is a reward for spiritual effort and unselfishness during physical life. It's impossible to be negative in Devachan, in my view, because you've lost the lower mind and the desire principle. You only have the higher principles, so it's impossible to be negative.
So if you had a really good life, would you have a longer stay in Devachan?
Yes, I would say you would, because you would have more to work through. The Devachan reinforces the spiritual tendencies acquired during life. So if you have made more effort and led a more unselfish life, then you will have more to work through it and realise.
How do you mean more to work through it? To me it looks like you've lived a good life, so you get in there and you have the opportunity to stay longer in heaven, so to speak.
That's right.
But what do you mean by working
well,
through?
to be in Devachan, you've got to have something to work with, to expand on.
Oh, I see.
And
yeah.
so if you've been unselfish and you've made spiritual effort,
yeah.
then you will, those aspirations will give the benefit in this state of bliss, and you will have more to go through, and that will reinforce your spiritual tendencies more for your next life. The other thing that Devachan does, it provides a period of rest and recuperation from the cycle of death and rebirth, and I think that's the only
That sounds
point.
very physical, Dave.
No, I think it's needed. It is a period of assimilation.
Yeah.
On the cycle of death and rebirth. I know it's not. It sounds like you're having a rest after you've been out jogging, but
it's more than that, 'cause the cycle of death and rebirth is all you know. So when you get to a place that isn't part of it, and you've worked through your connections to it, then it always stands to reason there's going to be a way station, so you go back.
Yeah, that's right. It's sort of a time out to assimilate what you've learned.
Okay, I'll allow you that.
Okay. Now, the other thing about Devachan is it's for your benefit. Now, as I see it, talk about the benefits in Devachan as karmic. I don't think they really are. They're more like a payoff for the effort made in life. Karma really, to me, is something that works itself out on the physical plane, although it is a reward.
Yeah, I like the word reward rather than payoff.
Yeah, reward. Okay.
Reward. Yeah.
Hold on, I'm sorry.
Payoff is not a nice expression.
No,
So we don't. All right. Payoff will be a banned word from now on. I won't use it again.
Reward is
Right.
good.
Reward, not payoff.
We
okay.
all deserve rewards.
Reward. Yes, it's a more spiritual word, isn't it? Your
Yeah.
reward is in Devachan.
Yeah.
Reward.
When you say payoff, it's like
you know.
the service is rendered.
Yes.
I agree with my...
Now, Devachan is subjective. That you are experiencing it and it really concerns nobody else. Now, it's been pointed out that you may have your your loved ones around you in Devachan, and they're enjoying the same state of bliss as you are. And because they can't be doing anything else really, because you've taken out.
So they
the
haven't
lower.
moved on then?
Well, no, they're there in your
Yeah.
Devachan,
But they haven't moved on to their new lives then?
no, they
Is that
haven't.
what you're
no,
saying?
no, they haven't. They may still be
So
on
all the
Earth.
people I've loved, I've got to wait till I die?
No, they don't.
And then I've got to wait until my daughter dies?
No, they don't. No, they're there with you in Devachan, even if they're still alive. No, Devachan is a
I'm not-
subjective experience. No, I've been through the William Clan Judge.
No,
Had
I'm
a,
talking about the people I've loved who are dead.
Yes.
For a long time.
Dead, gone.
Yeah.
Grandmothers, great-grandmothers,
That's right.
you know, and I loved them all. And so they're waiting in Devachan for me?
No, you will experience them in Devachan,
Oh, right.
but they won't actually be there.
It's all an
Devachan,
illusion.
Devachan is
Yeah.
your subjective experience
Yeah.
for your benefit. Now, on the physical plane, everything you do affects somebody else. In my view, when you're in Devachan, it's entirely yours, it's for your benefit, and it doesn't affect anybody else. Even the loved ones that appear in your own Devachan are unaffected by the fact that they're in your Devachan.
So they can be in lots of people's Devachan at the same time?
That's right, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a subjective, it's like a subjective experience, a bit like a dream.
Like a hologram thing?
That's right, yes. So, and this
It's
is
like if you're eating well, only your body benefit from it.
yes,
Nobody else does.
that's right, yes.
Although there's apples everywhere.
Yeah.
You
Well, it points out
And another great
a student of William Clark Judge pointed out, so well, how can you, being Devachan, enjoying being surrounded by your loved ones who are in a state of bliss, when in fact they're on earth and they're having a hard time, or they might be leading a life of vice or whatever.
Oh, so the live people are with you as well?
Oh yes.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
You don't have to have them with you if you don't want
I
them.
hoped I'd be
No,
floating there in a state of
But if they're not-
aloneness.
If they're not loved ones, you don't want them. They
Oh, I love
it's,
them, but
It's your own subjective experience, so
Yeah.
it will work itself out to your specification.
so I can love all sorts of people, and they have to come to Devachan with me, but
Yeah.
they know me or not.
No, they
But
don't.
just
I
a
love
bit
them.
of them, you can have him for a couple of seconds, so you know,
Yeah.
love him a bit and then...
But it's not really them, is it? That's
Sorry?
what Devachan. It's not really them, the people who are
No,
on Earth.
it's like people appearing in a dream.
Yeah.
They're there.
Yeah.
But they can only be in a state of bliss like yourself and having an all-round good time because you don't have your lower principles. It
So,
could-
and I don't understand this, how people who are alive can be in your Devachan.
well, you've created them, you've created the image.
Yeah.
It's a
Yes.
subjective experience that you create for yourself, your own. It's for your benefit. So they're there, but they may still be alive.
And try a little context, like
So I could just have Elvis and whoever else I wanted
Yes.
there?
Yes.
Elvis is still alive,
Yeah.
man. Elvis is still alive.
Well, yeah,
so,
if I can imagine.
No, and
Yeah.
I'd assume that you could, yes, that people you've admired
Yeah.
would appear in your Devachan, yes.
What about your enemies? Will they be there?
I know, because
Well, you
you've
have
got,
to love your
you
enemies
take
then.
Oh,
away
yeah.
your lower
have to love
principles, your
your enemies.
negativity. You can only have positive things in Devachan. It's a
Oh.
state of bliss.
But if you love them,
Hmm.
It will be your enemies.
They're going to be enemies, isn't it?
Um,
well,
that's good point. Whether your enemies then
Somebody's
appear
done something bad
as
to
your friends,
and you still say,
can't-
I still love you.
I can only speculate on that.
I think we're forgetting that it's not the full-fledged ego of the person, it's just the essence. Like, say I was asleep and I woke up and I thought, oh, my nana visited me in a dream. It's not a fact that I saw her flat out and she gave me a message, it's just that I got the essence that she was there.
Yeah.
I think Devachan's the same kind of thing. It's
Yes.
your ego stripped out, so it's none of the karma, none of the stuff you relived in life, just their essence up there with you. Like, you get to say that was my nana said I want to go and see that, bam, her essence would come into my dream and out. For her that could be an eternity.
Just
To
like
me
the
that's
dream.
just a flash.
Yeah,
Anything like that?
but only good
Well,
ones.
makes sense, yes.
Well,
Only
perhaps
good ones.
perhaps when you dream of people who've died,
Mm.
it's because they've
Yeah,
sucked
They
you
want to
into
see
their
you.
Devachan for a minute.
Possibly,
that's
yes.
what I think. They wanted to
Yeah.
see you, you
Oh,
didn't want to
That's
see her.
right.
Oh,
I just thought of that.
Well, I wonder when sometimes people, and I've had this where people from years ago pop up in your dream, and not saying that they've actually died and I'm in their Devachan, but have they been thinking about me?
Yeah,
It's sad if they
yeah.
have, but you know, that's, you know, and suddenly that there's some sort of connection there.
So you've got to wonder who and what you're calling when you're in a very like stable frame of mind.
Yeah, that's just right.
and in there you can possibly turn yourself into a beautiful looking whatever. You
Yes.
go back, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask you about. Didn't TS say you remain in your form that you were on it?
Now this is an interesting one, so I'm going to talk about this. That you, although you've lost your earthly personality,
Yeah.
there must be an essence of the self
Yeah.
in Devachan, because you know who you are and you know who your friends are.
So you can choose a younger self.
Yes, I would say you
In
can.
Devachan.
You
That's
can
a
idealise
Physical
yourself,
self, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
just as you can
You're
idealise
not physical when you're
other
there, are
people.
you?
No, that's the image of you there.
Yeah. Yes, you could idealise yourself, but the essence of your personality must be there in Devachan.
Well, it's your higher manners, isn't it?
That's right. But effectively you've lost your you've divested yourself of your earthly personality, but the
Yeah.
essence of it must still be there. The very
The best bits.
the best bits without the negativity.
Mm.
So you still know who you are in Devachan.
Yeah.
It's like you as a baby, isn't it? I mean, before the world happens to you,
Yes, that's
who
right.
you are when you're a baby.
You come out of Devachan, you have to be reborn.
Then God have chose the image of you where you
Why do you
look
have to
your
be
best.
reborn? Why can't you just stay in Devachan?
Philosophy maintains you don't have a choice.
There's periods of time when you've got to act.
Because I imagine eventually
You
we
take
all
the
want to get to a
Devachan-
state of Devachan.
But it exhausts itself, you see.
We all want to get to a state of bliss, right? Eventually,
Yeah.
you know, heaven, whatever
That's
you
right.
want to call it. So then we already had it, so we just get a glimpse of it after death. Why can't we just stay there?
Let's say that. Because we're engaged in the cycle of death and rebirth, it exhausts itself, just as physical life exhausts itself.
But you're there for a long, long time, aren't you?
Well,
Millions of years.
I think A.P. Sinnott said it was 1500 yees, but
1500.
William Kwan Judge said there's no actual time.
No.
There's not an exact
I
science.
don't know where I picked it up, but I can't remember that if I die at the age of 70, that means it'll take 70 years before I then reincarnated again.
Yeah, I've read that somewhere.
Yeah, I read that somewhere.
Directly proportional to how long you live.
Yes. No, I don't
don't
think
know.
the gap between lives is an exact
no.
science. There's so many variables.
It can't be actually, so I'm pretty sure I read in TS, they said you cannot meet someone you have met before in your life. It has to be longer than that period.
In fact, there are children in India who claim to
I
have
know
been.
that's
So
a
that
little hiccup that is.
Yeah.
Theosophy
But it's
also
only
says,
in India, isn't it? You know?
man, Theosophy also says that all the people who are around you at the moment go with you, you know, sort of more or less, you know,
Yeah.
within the 100
On
years
that.
or so, yeah. And so you come back as you know.
The same generation, same family.
No, but I mean, Rob could be your sister, and Stella could be your auntie, and
and all the people
you can, yes, but we all come back in different forms.
Yeah.
I know there's the
would be
Buddhist
the
principle
husband
that
to my
everyone has been your mother.
ex-husband.
You have to be.
Yes, be nice to everyone, they were once your mother.
That's always the way.
Yeah.
Well, I do think you mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita that we're all born in various paradigms, but I do think there are karmic links that people that you're involved with in one life, you've been involved with them in another life, and there are links with these people, even if they're not your relatives. And you meet people and you deal with them, and you may have dealt with them in a past life, and you come to deal with them again.
I think that's maybe why you get a strong feeling when you meet somebody that you suddenly think, oh, I really want to know this person, I really love this person.
Yeah.
And there's karmic
They were
connection.
close to you before.
And vice versa, sometimes you
Yes,
don't
you
know
got
the person, but you, oh my God.
Yeah, I saw 4 kids, I thought, oh.
Oh, thank you.
Look, it's that thing about Devachan exhausting itself. Theosophy maintains that Devachan exhausts itself, and that you're forced out of it at the end into the best life available to what you need to learn. Similar to at the end of physical life, you can keep yourself going a bit long with physical life by looking after yourself, and some people can resist death for a while, I believe. I think that's possible, but eventually you will have to expire. And I think it's the same with Devachan. You go
So
through it.
Devachan itself is subject to birth and rebirth.
Yes, it's part of the cycle of death and rebirth, and it runs its course in the same way that the earthly personality dissolving away after physical death is a natural thing, although if you have serious earthly attachments, you can resist it and slow down your progress.
See?
Well, there's no...
Like,
Yeah.
just say, when you get there, you're in a spiritual form, and it's your higher self, and you will learn when you're there what your influence has been on people's lives, and also you will find out what you need to learn in the next life, because the whole idea of all these lives is that eventually we get back to the absolute, and we're all working towards that. And you can only do the work when you're alive. But when you're in Devachan, you can see it as an overall thing. Okay, I've learned that, now I need to learn that, and I'm one more step towards this.
Is the absolute and Devachan the same thing?
No, the absolute is...
It's
Is
already-
Devachan a glimpse of the
Paragraph.
absolute?
Yeah, it could be.
Pleasurable
But the
thing.
thing is, that Devachan is a sort of, we think of as a place, rather than the absolute is
Yeah.
what we all return to eventually.
Yeah. I should have made this clear earlier on. Devachan is a state, it is not a place.
But not
Now,
a place, no.
Heaven
state.
in Christian sect and in Islam is a place, and it also is eternity. Although there are esoteric forms of Islam and Christianity accept reincarnation. Virgil's Aeneid has the fields of Elysium, which are a place, and you pass across the fields of Elysium into the next life. And that's interesting that the Romans have that.
Yeah.
They
And
made
the Egyptians.
yes,
Black Sands, things
Yeah.
steady bracket.
yeah.
And I think we've got to remember that when we get there, that being happy or unhappy is not something we're concerned with, because we're in our higher state, which is a spiritual state, which wants to be with the absolute, because it's aware, I think, of being away from the absolute.
No, that's right, and
And
that the physical isn't just a
physical
process through
isn't
which we learn.
important.
We have to go into matter in order to gain experience and learn things.
So that I think, from what I've read and what I've sort of, has come to me, understand, that's the word, thank you, that we will be in a higher spiritual state, and that is what we're aiming at. So we will be glad to go through another lifetime to learn another thing, which will be another step on the way. Is that okay?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Does Theosophy say how many lifetimes they would take?
No, it depends how well you do.
You,
So it's not,
if you were
so all
absolutely
I'm going to do
excellent
to
in
get
all your
I'm covering a bit of
lifetimes.
that in we're talking about Avicii, which is actually stagnation.
Could you get to Avicii? Because we...
Yeah, we got onto Avicii, yes. We'll get to Avicii now. I think Devachan, we've covered it. Okay, Avicii, it's Sanskrit word, and it refers to a state of stagnation. Now, if you've led it's not hell. It's easy to think of Devachan as heaven and Avicii as hell. It's not quite like that. Avicii again is a state, but if you've led a particularly sort of unpleasant life, malicious, most people I suppose use the word evil, or you are particularly attached to the physical world with intensity, then you don't actually experience the after-death states as I've outlined here. You go straight to the next life, taking with you the attributes that you had in the previous life, and you've set yourself into a form of recurrence where you will live the same life again. And Blavatsky points out that this doesn't necessarily mean sort of axe murderers and criminals and bank robbers. This can be highly successful people can be in this situation. And what happens is, because of their physical attachment or their attitude, they higher principles separate. There's no communication. Instead of the bridge that exists there, the anti-Karana, the bridge between the lower mind and the higher mind, which gives the whole system some integrity, that there is some communication, even if you don't hear from it very often, between the higher principles and the lower. They're separated. So the lower part of man carries on like a soulless being. The higher principles are still there, but they've been cut off. And you die, and you don't go into Kamlok Devachan. You miss all that because you haven't got anything for Devachan. You're below the threshold. You failed. You don't need there's nothing to take with you. And you come round again, and very often someone in Avicii will live a very similar life and continue to live similar lives with no spiritual progress until either the personality exhausts itself, the driving force, the attitude or the attachments, they exhaust themselves, or something knocks them out of it. They're challenged by something and it knocks them out of it. So that's the state of Avicii. And Blavatsky referred to it as being a soulless being because you continue from life to life without the benefit of the higher principles. So there's no Devachan where you can assimilate what you've learned and sort of move on to the next life and do it again. You just go from life to life. You're in recurrence.
That's bloody all about it. Basically, it's a system to make bad people stay on the earth for longer.
Well,
It's not always bad people.
Yeah, if there's
Yeah, but
some
if
wrong
it's-
work through their karma, they're going to be a bit more
the
better.
karma's there. Okay, if you've gone round, been a criminal or whatever.
And then bad, you're reincarnated straight back
yeah.
into a criminal.
Yeah,
Bad,
but
yeah.
you live a similar life, but you're generating karma that you're going to have to work through. But it must start, I mean, you don't start out like that. You must start out with all the principles intact and functioning and communicating.
But every life has to be a bit different because of the karma you've.
Oh, that's true, yes. But I'm talking about the similar, going through a similar life with no spiritual progress. So if you're a successful sportsman or a businessman, you've got the blueprint already there. You just put it into action again.
You just don't think.
Yeah, it's because it's easy. You just go around again and do the same thing again.
It still seems like a system to make bad people stay on the earth longer.
Well,
I don't know if I'm not getting it.
Well, it takes you longer to evolve beyond the need to engage in the cycle of death and rebirth, and that is the ultimate objective. That eventually, we will, all of us, will eventually hold your breath on this one. We will eventually evolve beyond the need to engage in the cycle of death and rebirth.
Well, we all